Last November 21, 1998, 12 noon to 4 in the afternoon, at least 8 cars and 17 drivers participated in a race of torturous proportions. The 1998 BF Goodrich Enduro showcased the durability of the different production-based cars that have participated in the 1998 Subic Grand Prix.
And miss racing so much. I've been so excited about this race, you know.
So, who will you be running with?
I'll be running with Mike Francisco. I was originally supposed to run with my brother, but then rated A and B driver cannot run together. So I'm running with Mike Francisco, the clubman champion. We're gonna go flat out all the way. And hope the car doesn't break.
About pitting strategy?
Well, maybe one. I think we can make it in one fuel stop. Hopefully, we are checking our fuel consumption, and it's very feasible that we can do it with one fuel stop like last year. Francisco's are helping us out a lot. Shell is also helping us a lot with this race. So, you know, we won 3 championships this year in the clubman, production, and manufacturers. Let's try to go for the Grand Slam.
It's well, it's not the usual SRA team. The only driver from the SRA team actually right now is George, because we rented out our cars to some foreigners. So right now none of us are running the Enduro.
Who's running with yours?
Francis Godinez, and then there are 2 Italian, actually 2 Italians and 1 English guy running my car. They work in ABB. They're like just enthusiasts, right? That got into it. They started the school with Cookie, and they ended up being pretty good drivers. So Cookie asked them if they wanted to race, and they said yeah. So they're gonna test the car and see how they do. Maybe next year they'll be running with us.
It's nice. It's nice to be back on the track and nice to be behind the wheel instead of be behind the camera or behind the TV screen. Makes a change. I'm driving with the 2 Italian guys from Asian Development Bank, and they're novices, and so it's their first race really. So we'll just see how we go. No strategy whatsoever. It's just a case of the other 2 guys. It's their first race, so it'll just be a case of go around the track and try not to fall off, try not to get in the gravel, try not to get down the slip road, and just go around and go as quick as we can, you know. See where we come at the end, because everybody has problems. Everybody happens. Something happens. You know, somebody gets a flat. You never know. At the end of 4 hours, it's a long time to be on the track. Strategy is just keep driving.
Running Nissan Sentra in the endurance race.
So, who's your team?
Mr. Kerry Anderson. He's New Zealand national, lives in Hong Kong.
How do you find the track? Even
Very interesting. Very interesting. Now we had a few laps in the Toyota Starlet yesterday, so we know the track. We don't know the car yet. The track is very interesting.
So, do you have any specific strategy that you can relate to us?
No. Keep it on the black pits. And do the 4 hours. Keep it away from the walls.
Then there are those who are just out to have some fun.
Basically, we just overhauled our engine to make it run good lang. Tapos, tires, we just only have 6 pieces of tires. Mga ano pa yun, medyo used na. And medyo para medyo makatipid.
Bale, nag-practice kami last week. Okay lang. Tinapos namin kagad.
But there are those who are serious too.
Set up yung car kasi yung car is actually Benedict's car. He's going to use it next year's Subic. So it's already prepared na, just some minor adjustments and changing some parts kasi Enduro, so kailangan some parts should be new para magtagal ng 4 hours. So basically, yun lang yung preparations na ginawa namin for the weekend.
First year pa lang namin na sumali sa Enduro. So basically lahat pinetesting pa lang namin. Ibang teams, one stop daw. Kami sa competition namin magto 2 stops kami.
Tsaka sa ano nga pala, sa competition, so far, sina Derek tsaka si Roger, tapos there are 2 Italian guys who rented out the Sensors of SRA. So basically, yung pa lang naman ang competition na nakikita namin.
Kundi sa rookie, medyo magandang standing namin.
Bibigay ka na ano mamaya.
So this is how the grid looked like last November 21. Pole position was with Carlos Anton and Mike Francisco on their Hyundai Elantra. Then George Ramirez and Francis Godinez in the Nissan Sentra, followed by Mike Anton and George Pasible. Then the Toyota Corolla of Benedict de la Cruz and Nico David, the top rookie qualifier, landing a slot in row 2. There is of course a rookie award in this race, and eligible for it are the teams without A and B drivers. The Italian connection of Larsitic and Loy with Briggs qualify for that, as well as Derek Yuchan and Roger Milton. The Hong Kong contingent land in row 3, while Mike Potenciano and Lee Baumgartner round up the pack in row 4. 2 starlets are joining this race with alternating drivers in each. A host of Japanese drivers will take the opportunity to practice for their starlet race the next day. We're waiting for the green light now to start the race. 4 hours of endurance racing here at the Subic Grand Prix. There it is. Carlos Anton leading this pack of 8 cars. Following them all into the first corner. George Ramirez now in second place. Then comes Mike Anton in another Hyundai Elantra. So the Nissan Sentra of George Ramirez and Francis Godinez sandwiched by 2 Hyundai Elantras all into the second and third corners now. The 1300 Starlet taking the tail end. Now approaching the Petron hairpin, still Carlos Anton with George Ramirez in second place, taking his own personal line. Mike Anton making a dive on the inside though, and he makes it a 1-2 for the Hyundai Elantra. There goes Mike Potenciano against Trevor Briggs. So it's a great start here, very close racing despite the 4 hours ahead of him. Normally you would want to conserve your car for 4 hours, but the A drivers are proving them wrong, and they're really going flat out as George Ramirez makes a dive on the inside of Mike Anton, and he goes through Anton. So George Ramirez really fighting back. Anderson leading Derek Yujan, but there goes a Japanese driver through the line of Yujan, and he goes wide predictably. Oh, Derek Yujan almost bumping fenders there. So 2 Hyundai Elantras, 1 and 3. In the middle is George Ramirez, and fourth is Benedict de la Cruz. But already into the pits, it's the New Zealander Anderson having problems with his Nissan Sentra rented out to SRA. The mechanics check it out. Oh, it looks like the drive shaft has broken, and it looks like Anderson is not going anywhere soon. In car again with George Ramirez into the chicane, following the Hyundai Elantra of Carlos Anton, now following the Hyundai Elantra of Mike Anton. So Mike Anton and George Ramirez swapping places there into turn 3 now. George Ramirez getting 1 over Mike. Now the Petron hairpin, Mike Anton, George Ramirez. Oh, Mike Potenciano making a dive on the inside of Benedict de la Cruz, and he gets through. But de la Cruz is fighting back into the chicane. Oh, they touch. T-bone there is Mike Potenciano by Benedict de la Cruz. There goes Trevor Briggs. Wow, it looks like the SRA mechanics are already done with the Anderson Tour with Sentra, and it's going back into the track, ready to race once again. Great job. But Carlos Anton is really building a great gap over George Ramirez on the Sentra. And the Japanese are really having fun here at the Subic International Raceway, pushing their starlets into action. Proponent, of course, of this activity is Aoki-san, who made a great name for himself in the Penzo Super Saloon Series. And here he is in action against Derek Yujan, overtaking the Lancer there, and now trailing after George Ramirez on the Sentra. So out of nowhere, Aoki-san now having fun, now posting blitzing times, going after the real contenders of the 1998 BF Goodrich Enduro. And George Ramirez, having a hard time there into the S's. There goes Aoki-san past him. So Aoki-san really carving a way through, leading the Japanese contingent. Mike Anton now into the pits, the MP2 pit crew in action. George Pasible ready to take up the cudgels now into the first hour of the race. George Apasible, of course, a champion karter in his own right in the National Series. Now getting on board the Hyundai Elantra. Mike Anton out. Just a driver change for the number 33 Elantra. And he's off to continue the laps of Mike Anton. But not for long, as the Hyundai Elantra of George Apasible is parked there at the back straight. So mechanical problem, the first casualty here of the 1998 BF Goodrich Enduro. Derek Yutian consulting his chief mechanic there about the Mitsubishi Lancer of Roger Milton, but he continues on, no driver changes, no tire changes whatsoever. And Trevor Briggs, our companion here at Slipstream, turning it over to Giorgio Larsetic, one of the two Italians renting out the number 14 Sentra of SRA. There's the fuel. You can't spill a drop of fuel into the ground, that'll mean a 10-second penalty, but now Larsetic is in action. Carlos Anton still leading this race over George Ramirez. Look at that gap. And a pit signal here. Going to the pits now, George. The Nissan Sentra of Ramirez and Godinez now into the pits for scheduled maintenance. Change of front right tire there. But not before the fixed 2.5 minutes of refueling time given to each car. Francis Godinez now into the cockpit, ready to take Nissan Sentra on the road. There's a tire change. Great action here from the Petron SRA crew. No power tools allowed. And here's Derek Yutian, ready to turn over the wheel to Roger Milton. A very leisurely drive for Derek Yutian, conserving the Mitsubishi Lancer. This is the first car that went kaput last year. Now they're really running it well. Friends helping out. And this is really enjoying the moment. Roger Milton strapping in. Not really running a lot of races this year, but this time Francis Godinez, 1998 novice champion, is back, and Michael David waits for Benedict de la Cruz as he makes his way into pit lane for their scheduled pit stop. Only a driver change is allowed while refueling, and you can see very carefully they place the fuel into the car. No spills allowed. So far, the Corolla of David and De La Cruz running well, and here's the guy who's really running well, Carlos Anton, leading this race now with all the pit stops. Carlos Anton and Mike Potenciano remain the only two drivers who haven't changed with their co-drivers, and it seems they're really squeezing the Hyundai Elantra of their worth, having only a one-stop strategy. And here now is Francis Godinez, who's really on a roll, keeping the pace of George Ramirez, who turned over the car to him. Roger Milton in front of him, but not for long. If Francis Godinez has his way on the left now, on the inside, there he goes past Roger Milton into the chicane. So we'll be back with two more condensed hours here in the 1998 BF Goodrich Enduro on Slipstream. Francis Godinez is really on a roll here, trying to lessen the gap with him and Carlos Anton, but first he has to go past Nico David into turn 1 now. Godinez running a fast race here. It looks like David is not going to challenge him for this one.
Nothing, he's probably watching the temperature. Hope the brakes, last the whole race. He shouldn't be worried about tires because we just changed the new set, so he should be okay. Just hanging in there, keep going. He's got 30 laps to do. He's probably gonna do about 32 laps, then pit, then I gotta go out again.
Carlos Anton was not made a pit stop yet, now still in the lead of this race, 7 laps ahead of the nearest competitor. Potenciano meanwhile turning over the wheel to Lee Bumgarner on his Hyundai Elantra, giving last minute instructions there for Lee. So the Potenciano Bumgarner Elantra having a change of tires now. The fronts are the first to go usually. A new pair of BF fairway tires locked into position now as the Hyundai Elantra of Lee Bumgarner goes into action. Mike Potenciano now in the sideline. With 2 hours down now, Lee Bumgarner into the Petron hairpin. Oh no, Carlos Anton's engine is smoking. There goes his engine. So Carlos Anton, who has led this race from the start, will now have to retire prematurely as the Hyundai Elantra gives up on him. Whoa, bad luck there for Carlos Anton.
Nangyari sir?
Wala, sabog makina.
Sumabog makina?
Yet after leading
Ayan, ang haba nun
The whole race, we're probably ahead by 3 laps, 4 laps.
Dami yung nilampasan, sayang.
Yeah.
Palagay nyo sir, ano naging problema?
I don't know, well, could be a million and one things. Wow, this was such a good race. Led from the start all the way to 2 hours.
Sayang.
So with the exit of Carlos Anton now, the lead is an open book as Torwit and Larsitic play around here at the chicane. But behind them is the fast-moving Francis Godinez, and he's really on a roll still. His Nissan Sentra now going past Larsitic, going after the Torwit Anderson Sentra, and he's really reeling it in. Approaching the last turn now, the Tron Loop, back marker action, making this all the more interesting. Well into the second hour of this race. But Francis Godinez has track knowledge here inside his pocket, and he's going to go after the Anderson Torwit car with ease here in turn 1, and he's through. So Francis Godinez making it easy for George Ramirez, who will now go in to replace him after 35 sensational laps. So after all the drama, 2.5 hours into this race, it looks like the La Cruz David Toyota Corolla is in the lead right now, posting faster lap times than the remaining 4 other cars except for the Nissan Sentra of Godinez.
Well, it's okay na maganda yung pagkaka-setup ng kotse. So, maganda naman yung time namin. I think ahead kami sa mga rookies sa rookie class. Well, ngayon si Miko yung nagda-drive, and then mukhang nakukuha na niya handling ng kotse. Maganda rin naman yung time niya. Well, ngayon wala pa naman problema, and sana mag-continue hanggang makatapos yung karera. Hopefully, hindi namin kailangan magpalit ng brakes.
So with the exception of Mike Potenciano and George Ramirez, David is the driver with the most experience and is really making full use of it now. And into the pits now is Larsitic for a driver change, their last here supposedly, as Ricardo Loy will now take the wheel of the number 14 Sentra. A scheduled fuel stop is also in place.
Meron kayong penalty 10 seconds.
So even the track owners are not spared from the rules.
Wala pa. May 10 seconds kayong penalty.
It's turning to be a very busy pit lane as Roger Milton is in too, consulting with his mechanic. And Lee Bumgarner is into the pits as well, so it looks like Mike Potenciano is ready to take over the Hyundai Elantra, the remaining Elantra in this race. Quick tire change there, 4 tires, wow. Mike Potenciano opting to change all 4s to make a last-ditch effort to catch up with the leader, which is by now Benedict de la Cruz and Miko David 3 laps ahead. Ricardo Loy is in, Roger Milton as well after that fuel stop, and Mike Potenciano is back on the track. Whoa, George Ramirez limping out of the track now, just as he was trying to catch up.
Car was good, except that it had a vibration. I think the people that did the balancing on the tires did a really poor job.
But not a poor job at all for Michael David, who goes out now of his Toyota Corolla for Benedict de la Cruz and a scheduled fuel stop. De la Cruz now in with Miko David helping out on the seatbelts. Great teamwork here as the rest of the team try to carry out a very delicate refueling process. You wouldn't want to spill a drop now, especially when you're ahead by 3 laps against the nearest competitor. Benedict de la Cruz now on his way back into the track, and if he can hold on and conserve the car, he'll win this one.
So far, when I got down, we were 3 laps ahead against Mike Potenciano, the last Hyundai. So now, instead of going after the rookie award, we'll be going after the overall na kasi kaya na. Hopefully, para also we can get this one.
And as luck would have it, Mike Potenciano is into the pit lane with an unscheduled fuel stop. So that's it for Mike Potenciano's chances for this race, with only less than 15 minutes remaining in the 4-hour Enduro. And surprise, surprise, rookie contender Benedict de la Cruz and Miko David on a Saturday stroll now as de la Cruz brings home the Toyota Corolla to a very convincing win. So after 4 hours, Benedict de la Cruz lands in first. The rest of the cars following the Mike Potenciano and Lee Bumgarner in second place. And here are the results. 3 laps ahead of the Hyundai Elantra is the tandem of De La Cruz and David from Geosport. Briggs, Larsetic and Loy land in third. Surprise win for them too. Yu John and Milton are able to nurse the Mitsubishi Lancer home, as well as the Hong Kong contingent of Anderson and Torway. Trevor Briggs in black, Ricardo Loy, Giorgio Larsetic in third place overall and second place in the rookie class. Mike Potenciano, Lee Bumgarner, second place overall. Great runs for them. But someone has to win. Nico David and Benedict de la Cruz taking the top prize as well as the top rookie award for the 1998 BF Goodrich Enduro.
Ang result ng inyong effort. Again, Rookie of the Year winners, Nico David and Benedict de la Cruz.
So the combination of the two drivers as well as a well-sorted Toyota Corolla from Gulf Speed and the Giordano Geosport racing team bagging for De La Cruz and David the top crown for the 1998 BF Goodrich Enduro.